This is Dr. Harry Anderson. I get a lot of questions about nervous horses. Nervous horses can cover the waterfront of reasons and types of horses, so why they get nervous and all kinds of things. A horse can become nervous from the environment, of course. Training, pushing on them real hard, expecting them to do things they're uncomfortable with. That's one reason. They can become nervous from the type of diet you're feeding. Too much raw starch, feeding a real starchy feed, and too much of it will increase the fermentation in the hindgut, get lactic acid produced. Lactic acid can change the blood chemistry slightly and cause them to just be irritable. Nervous horses come from ulcers. Ulcers is a special topic of its own, but ulcers, having an ulcer will make a horse nervous. Just irritable, they don't want to cooperate. You push on them a little and the ulcer is irritated from the lactic acid being produced, from the nervousness, and they get more nervous. So what we need to do if we have a nervous horse is first identify kind of what's causing it. If it's the environment, we can kind of pull back and watch the environment, try to help them through nervous situations. If it's the diet, if we're feeding too much starchy grain and we're causing them nervous, we need to try to figure out a way to back off on the starch intake, increase the energy they're getting from their hay, or change the type of product we're using to where there is less raw starch, less non-structural carbohydrate in it, which will help control that acid production, which will control some of the irritation and the blood chemistry change that causes the nervous system irritation. So there are different ways we can go about this. But bottom line is, you don't have to deal with a nervous horse. We have now the ability to help that nervous system and actually feed the nervous system properly with a product called Ascophyllum nodosum, which is a specific seaweed that I talk about quite often. And I do because it helps in so many ways, but one of the ways it helps, it has a sugar in it called fucose sugar. Fucose sugar is part of the nervous system transmission system. Whereas when nerve impulses are transferred from one nerve pulse to a piece to another through the body, there are certain chemicals that have to exist in that fluid area between nerve pieces to help get that impulse from one to the next to the next to the next. One of the compounds in there that they've identified is a fucose sugar. Fucose sugar does exist also in this seaweed, so what we're doing is we're supplying the nervous system with a compound that helps it run at its most normal level. It does not overreact or underreact anymore, and oftentimes you can start feeding this Ascophyllum nodosum in all of a sudden your horse will settle down and become very cooperative and compliant instead of nervous.